blades are all registered and regulated. Do you think these violation tickets, there's not a statute out there governing their use? There is, and you can't find a violation ticket act. A violation ticket is in fact a bill of exchange. It's just like a check almost. It's an unconditional order in writing addressed by one person to another, signed by the person giving it, requiring the person to whom it is addressed to pay upon a demand or at a fixed or determinable time a sum certain in money to or to the order of a third party or the bearer. Sounds like a big complicated thing. It's not. Look at the bill of exchange or at your violation ticket. Every little element of that bill of exchange is found there. Here's what they want you to do. They want to say, here's your ticket, you sign the original, they keep the original, they give you a copy, now go to court, pay up or go to court. Under the Bills of Exchange Act, let's suppose for a moment you're in a restaurant. When a waitress comes and gives you a bill after you've eaten your meal, that is a bill of exchange. If she signed it and presents it to you, she's not getting paid herself, you're going to pay upon demand a third party. It's a bill of exchange. Now let's suppose for a second the waitress puts down this bill and you go to pick it up and she goes, you can't do that. You got to sign the back of that bill so I can take it over to these bouncers. They can come over and beat you up for refusing to pay for it. And you say, what the heck kind of restaurant is this? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not into getting beat up. I want to pick up that bill. And they won't let you have that bill. Do you owe anything? No. No one can claim you owe them anything unless they present you with the bill. This is what the government is doing with their violation tickets. Cop pulls you over. They offer you a chance to hold the bill and sign it. If you refuse to sign it, they'll say, okay, you've dishonored it, and they'll sign the back. I offered you a chance to sign it. Under the Bills of Exchange Act, if I present you with a bill, you sign it and give it back to me, you have just dishonored a bill of exchange. You didn't pay for it. You didn't get a receipt. I created it. It was in your possession. I can prove that with your signature. Now it's back in my possession. You're in dishonor. That was my bill you dishonored. What they want you to do is dishonor it by signing it. The way to deal with it is to label that instrument as a bill of exchange. Tell them, I recognize that as a bill of exchange, and I'm accepting your presentment. No argument, no nothing. Go ahead, give it to me. I want the original. If they refuse to give you the original, and they will refuse to give you the original, because without that original in their possession, they have no reason to go to court. Without that in their possession, they've got no court. If you offer to accept it, and they refuse, they'll say, well, what, you don't want to sign it? Why should I dishonor your bill of exchange? I'm open to you presenting the original. If they fail to do that, they impose the blue copy. You take that blue copy to a notary public. The bill was never duly presented. He's claiming that he did. You'd have them stamp it, protest for lack of presentment. You send that off to the third party, the Minister of Finance. They now have 3 days under the Bill of Exchange Act to either establish that it was in fact presented to you or to represent it. If they don't do that in that period of time, guess who's liable for the bill? The cop who endorsed it. Just like the waitress in a restaurant who created a bill, charged someone for lobster when they didn't even have it. You put it in the system, you have to pay for it. People who are doing this now, when they tell the police officers, yeah, that's a bill of exchange and I'm accepting your offer and I want the original, boom, they're closing that book and they're pulling out another book with warnings. And they're giving people all these warnings, saying, well, I've already run your name through the computer, I've got to do something here, so I'm going to give you a warning. Okay, let's go to the next one. The notarial protest method of justice. This is one of my favorite. And we're going to wind this up pretty quick here. We should not have to create conflict in order to find justice. We should not have to create conflict with our fellow man to find remedy under the law. Lawyers want you in conflict. Lawyers want you in court. Lawyers want you in their adversarial system. There's another way. A notary public, if you read your Notary Act, you will find that a notary public is one of the most powerful people in this deck. They can do anything. They can perform, what's the exact word? Any duty found under any enactment, statute, or order. Say you have court, oh, sorry, we don't have any sheriffs, get a notary. Sorry, we don't have a clerk, get a notary. We need a judge, get a notary. They can do just about anything that anyone else can do under those acts. One of the things that, essentially they're a court officer. They will attest for you, and what you are going to do is you're going to go through the process, the administrative process that leads to court. And you're going to do it in such a way that the other party has no standing, so by the time you get to court, you're the only one there. Here's my judgment, sign it, it's done. An administrative judgment will not be turned over because it has nothing to do with the facts, it has nothing to do with the law, and it has everything to do with the proper lawful steps necessary in order to get to a place of adjudication. The way we deal with it, first of all, if, let's say, Gary over there owes me money. I go to him, I say, Gary, you owe me money, here's my bill, buddy. He can either reject it, he can say, no, I'm not touching that, or he can take it and say, yeah, I've got your bill, I've accepted it, but now I refuse to pay. Either way, he's dishonored my bill. A notary public, in order to use a notary public, and you will use them for a bill of exchange, I'll use it for the bill of exchange example, you can also use them for a notice of understanding and intent, you can use them for a claim of right. I go to Larry or Gary and I say, Gary owes me money. I go to a notary public, you want to be notary public? I go to my buddy Notary Public, say, Notary Public, Gary owes me money, that rat bastard, he's not paying me. Here's my bill, I want you to hold on to my original. He'll hold on to my original, and he'll make a certified true copy of that bill, and he'll make a notice. He will send this to Gary, say, look, buddy, I'm holding on to a bill, it's one of your bills, at least Rob says it is. You've got 3 days to come and pick it up. Now, actually, he's going to get 10. He's going to get 3 days for the mail to go out, 3 days to decide what to do, 3 days for his response to come back. You're going to have a Sunday in there. Essentially, you got 10 days grace. If, within that 10-day period, Gary doesn't come to my buddy Notary Public and say, give me that bill, here's the money, make sure Rob gets it, now he's in dishonor. The Notary Public is going to craft a document called a Notice of Dishonor. He's going to send me the original of that, and he's going to send a copy to Gary, saying, Gary, you're in dishonor, here's your notice. Again, he's got the period of grace, the 3 days grace. If he shows up to the notary, oh, sorry, bad mistake on my part, here, let me pay it, it's done. If he doesn't at that point, now you're in protest. You craft a notice of protest, you take it to the Notary Public, he stamps it, sends off the certified true copy to Gary, and Gary now has 10 more days. If at that point I don't find remedy, Gary doesn't show up, I've sent off the bill of exchange, he received a notice, he received a notice of dishonor, he's received a notice of protest, and he doesn't pay, I've won. Game over. All I got to do is take my notarial package to any JP, any judge, and say, look, this is what happened, and the notary is the officer of the court. He's the guy who is attesting to the fact that this process, you've gone through it properly, and your opponent didn't even want to play, you win. They'll give you an order, you say, Sheriff, come with me, I'm going to see some property here. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Are we having fun yet? I'm having fun. Student loans, who here has a student loan? Oh, that's what you're here for. Student loan, believe it or not, folks. And you'll find it in the bursting bubbles there. We have free education. Everyone has free education. You can access it at any time. Canada is a signatory to a covenant. Came into force in 1976. They acknowledge post-secondary education as a right. It's necessary for the development of a free and just society. It would be made equally accessible to all, and in particular, with the progressive introduction of free education. When you look in any of the Canada Student Loan Acts, you will find a section where they deal with deduction and set-off. Deduction is the difference between deduction. Let's say notary here owes me $10 and I owe him $10. We can just say, okay, you deduct your $10, I deduct mine, we zero it out, we're done. We're zeroed out. A set-off is kind of like a deduction, except there's no real actual debt. It's just a claim of a debt. See, I definitely owe him $10, and he then claims, okay, well, then maybe you owe me $10. You can claim and not have any actual debt. Merely claiming will be your set-off. Since Canada has no money, we have no money in circulation. It's all promissory notes. It's all fiat currency. It's not money. The government cannot put you in a situation where A, they've taken away the money, and then B, they put you in debt. The only way to get out of debt is to pay off with money. if you can't